Hey everybody, David Chesworth here, fitness programmer and wellness coach at Hilton Head Health. I'm here to talk to you today about posture, standing posture, and seating posture, and how they relate to each other and how it can reduce aches and pains in your everyday life. So whenever I go through posture, I like to start from the feet and work my way up. So the first thing you want to do with your feet is lift your toes up, and notice how your weight shifts back into your heels when you do this. So notice that keeping your weight in your heels, firmly press your toes back down. That's a nice strong foundation for your feet. Weight's in your heels, your toes are pressed down. You're actually using the natural arch of your foot when your foot is like this. So then with your hips, what you want to do is clench your glutes. And when you clench your glutes, that puts your pelvis into a nice neutral position, setting your spine up for success. So then what we want to do to make sure our spine stays nice and stable and strong is engage the core. And a really easy way to get in tune with your core is to just put your hands on your tummy and go ahead and cough. And when you cough, you might feel those muscles engage. See if you can engage those muscles without coughing. And it shouldn't be too firm. You should still be able to breathe. You should be relatively relaxed, but you do feel them turned on. And then the next part is the shoulders and neck. So at the shoulders and neck, you put your arms out to the side, locking your elbows out. When your elbows are locked out, this works most effectively. And then rotate your thumbs upwards and backwards until you feel your back and shoulders turn on. That puts your shoulder blades in a neutral position. Put your arms down to the side and then just make sure your chin is up. So it can be really easy to slouch in a seated position, especially in a comfortable chair like this. You might find yourself leaning back like this. You might find yourself hunched over like this. But a great place to start with seated posture is to get your heels beneath your knees. Heels beneath your knees. And by the way, you want to make sure, especially if you're going to be seated for a long time, doing work for example, that you're in a chair where your feet can reach the ground. If you're in a chair where your heels are lifted and your toes are down, that can create chronic tightness in the calves, pulling on the ankles, pulling on the knees. So you want to be at a nice height where your feet can reach the ground. Then the toughest part in the seated posture is getting your pelvis where it needs to be. It's tough to clench your glutes. It's tough to lift your pelvis up. So one way that I like to do this is I actually like to, one cue that helps is if you imagine pulling your knees into your hips. Pulling your knees into your hips, that will pull your pelvis where it needs to go. So your heels are beneath your knees, pulling your knees into your hips, and then so we can stabilize the spine, it's the same process from this point forward. Go ahead and cough. We found our abs, keep them engaged, not too tight, not too relaxed, just right. And then with your arms, rotate up and back for your shoulder. And ideally, you have a keyboard that's at about elbow height, so that we're not scrunched up. Keyboard that's at about elbow height. Your monitor is ideally, the top of the monitor is at eye level, so that you can keep your head neutral and just gaze with your eyes up and down. If it's too low, you'll find yourself with a kink in your neck. If it's too high, you'll also find yourself with a kink in the neck. So this would be optimal seated posture, especially if you're working for an extended period of time. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for watching, everyone, and stay tuned for our next video.